I've been informed that we have a quorum of over 100 and we will start the meeting. I'm just waiting for the town clerk to come up here and we'll start. Oh, okay. Okay, right. Well, we did pretty good except for that. Yep. Okay. We're just waiting for the flag, considering that we had to move everything. So we'll just in a minute, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Do you want the invocation while we're waiting for the All right. All right. Since we do have a quorum, and we usually start with an invocation, and as everybody knows, Reverend Bob has retired. But I have asked the interim minister from the First Congregational Church, Reverend Island, to please give us a blessing over this meeting tonight. Reverend Island, welcome. Well, okay, we'll do the flag first. Okay. All right, if everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Bob. Reverend Island, and welcome to Rowley. Come right up here.
Well, greetings to you all as the new kid in town. I understand that you have a full agenda tonight, and so I invite you now to be in the spirit of prayer. Holy and gracious God, we gather from many different directions into this one space. We come with many ideas and thoughts in our minds and our hearts, but we know that there are items on the agenda that we need to attend to. We know that they will be presented with the hope that we will be able to hear that which is being presented and move to a place where we can hear one another when different voices speak and respect one another and give thanks for the freedom that we have to participate in these town meetings and for the democracy in which we live. Bless us and guide us this night as we seek your light and your guidance to go through this meeting and make decisions that will benefit the town and all the members therein. We give thanks for this opportunity, and we ask for this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Just a few little housekeeping things. In consideration of the past couple of years of how town meeting has, I want to make it very clear and foremost to anybody here in the room that when you walked in through those doors, respect, and it's the respect for everybody here, whether it's you're for or against any of these articles. If you have something to say or have a question to ask, you will come up here to the front, state your name and your address so that we know who you are and what your questions are, and they will be answered by the appropriate people. We have the town treasurer, the town accountant, we have the finance committee, we have the board of selectmen, we have our various chiefs and leaders of all the different boards that have the facts, the actual facts of what we are looking for to run the town of Rowley. The special is to finish the FY18 budget, and the regular town meeting is to set the new budget for FY19. And that can only be done at a town meeting. And with that being said, I want to welcome everybody back to 1988, when one of the first town meetings I came to, when there were no cell phones, so I'm going to ask you all to put them on vibrator or silence them. There was no media, television to broadcast, And I think the only slide projections was the similar ones that we had in my house to watch my husband's Vietnam slides. So that's about as far as we're going to get today. We've took a little step back in time, and I think Pate Todd I'm praying that he's watching over me, that I don't do something that isn't right this year. And those of us that have been around long enough knows that he ran a very precise and diligent meeting, and we left here on time. And talking about time, my jammy time is like 10:30 at night. But if we're almost at the end, and we'll go to 11, but I would not like to have a second meeting. I would like this to be done in one night. Thank you. And all the voters are seated here. The people that are over on this side are either chiefs of fire or police, people that work for the town, regional schools, vocational schools, or just visitors. They do not have any vote in any of this. They're just here for informational. All right, so we will start with I want to make sure, does everybody in this room have a copy of the warrants, the special and the regular? Okay, then we will start town meeting. Gentlemen?
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
Excuse me. I move to allow the non-resident town employees and school, local, and state officials to speak, if called upon, during the April 30th, 2018 special town meeting. These individuals will now raise their hands.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and second to allow these people to speak if it's needed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now, if everybody will go to their special town meeting warrant, and as I says, this is to close out FY18. Would you like somebody to start reading it, so we'll suspend the reading? Go ahead.
Madam Moderator.
Yeah, wait till Sue, Bob, give Sue a chance to.
Don't stop me before I start.
Tell-
My feelings will be hurt. Town of Rowley, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, warrant for special town meeting, April 30th, 2018. Essex, to the constables of the town of Rowley and the county
Madam
of
Moderator?
Essex, greetings.
Yes.
I move to suspend further reading of the April 30th, 2018 special town meeting warrant because present town meeting members have a copy of this warrant.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. I've asked before everybody has a copy of both warrants. All those in favor of suspending the reading signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries.
Joan, do we have a better way than Dave walking all the way across with
I'll take it from him. I'll
Oh,
save
you're
you.
just as far away.
I'll take it from you. Okay. Article 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Article 1. Literally, Article 1 is to hear and act on reports of the committees and boards, and this has been sorted by the Board of Selectmen. For any committees and boards that want to make a report, they can come up at any time if an article is not being presented on the floor. Article 2.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to suspend in the town meeting the application of Section 19 and Section 20 of the town meeting bylaw pertaining to the reconsideration of all money articles. Such suspension intended for the specific purpose to balance the total level of funds raised and appropriated within the limitations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, Proposition 2.5, so-called, and to give blanket warning hereby that any money article may, at the end of the meeting and after all articles have been acted upon, be moved for reconsideration in order to balance the total level of funds raised and appropriated within the limitations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C.
Second.
Okay, this is an article considering that at the end of the night, we have to have a balanced budget. It is a 2/3 vote. I'm going to call for the vote. If there's no questions on this, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 2 passes.
7:15.
Article 3.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $5,000 from line 157, unemployment, of Article 4 of the May 1st, 2017 annual town meeting to be added to line 9, selectmen's expense, of Article 4 of the May 1st, 2017 to pay for the expenses incurred to hold the April 30th, 2018 annual and special town meetings.
Second.
Are there any questions on this article? It's literally to pay for this town.
Excuse me, Joe.
Yes.
The Finance Committee recommends this
Sorry.
article.
We'll get back in the swing of things.
Okay.
Okay, this is to pay for this town meeting. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes.
7:17.
Article 4 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town to vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $4,868 from free cash to cover the costs of the town's participation in the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission's pictometry program.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding this article? All those in favor of Article 4 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 4 passes.
7:17.
Article 5 is in order.
Lemlin, Bennett Hill, Library Trustee.
Yes.
Article to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $3,000 from free cash to be added to Article 9 of the May 1st, 2017 special town meeting, the library door opener, or take any other action relative thereto. Madam Moderator, I make a
Is it-
motion.
I need to have a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Whoever second that, sign it, please.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any questions regarding Article 5? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 5 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 5 passes. Article 6 is in order.
7:19.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $3,800 from free cash to be expended by the Chief of Police for the purpose of sending a police officer to the Police Academy in fiscal year 2018.
Second.
Okay. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding this article? All those in favor of Article 6 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
719.
Article 7 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $1,836.57 from free cash to the E911 grant fund to reimburse shortfalls from the state E911 grant in fiscal year 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding this article? All those in favor of Article 7 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 7 passes.
720.
Any of those that are standing up there in the back, there are plenty of seats down here in front. So if there's, it might be a lengthy meeting if you want to come down here in front. I just don't want anybody mingling over on that side against that wall. Those are for the non-registered voters or people who work in town. Thank you.
We just did 7.
Okay. Article 8 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $19,729 from Article 7 of the May 1st, 2017 special town meeting to line 61, Police Department wages of Article 4, fiscal year 18 operating budget of the May 1st, 2017 annual town meeting, and to transfer and appropriate the sum of $55,000 from line 14, collective bargaining reserve of Article 4, fiscal year 18 operating budget of the May 1st, 2017 annual town meeting to line 61, Police Department wages of Article 4, fiscal year 18 annual operating budget of the May 1st, 2017 annual town meeting for the purpose of funding the cost items of the first 2 years of a collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Massachusetts Coalition of Police, Local 360, covering the period of July 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 8? All those in favor of Article 8 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 8 passes.
723.
Just as a note, I apologize. We have Representative Brad Hill here tonight, and I would like to thank him for coming to our meeting tonight. Thank you. And I have heard that Senator Tarr is coming, so as anybody that knows Bruce Tarr, he'll be here a little later. Article 9 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $50,000 from free cash to be used by the tree warden for public shade tree cutting and maintenance.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding this article? All those in favor of Article 9 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 9 passes. Article 10 is in order.
Madam Moderator, Article 10. I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $4,445 from free cash to Article 12 of the May 1998 annual town meeting landfill testing to cover the cost of the testing in the landfill this spring.
Second.
Finance
Finance
Committee?
Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 10? All those in favor of Article 10 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 10 passes. Article 11 is in order.
724.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate $10,467.62 to pay part of the cost for a new security and fire alarm system for Town Hall and the Town Hall Annex, and fire alarm systems for the library, Highway Department, Plantation Drive, and the current fire station on Hammond Street. And to meet this appropriation, such amount shall be transferred from Article 9, Paragraph 2 of the May 5th, 2014 Special Town Meeting, as more fully described in this article. The unexpended balances of funds originally borrowed to pay costs for facility upgrades, which amounts are no longer needed to pay the cost of the projects for which they were originally borrowed.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 11? All those in favor of Article 11 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 11 passes. Article 12 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate $4,532.38 to pay part of the cost for a new security and fire alarm system for Town Hall and the Town Hall Annex, and the fire alarm systems for the library, Highway Department, Plantation Drive, and the current fire station on Hammond Street. And to meet this appropriation, such amount shall be transferred from the unexpended balance of funds originally borrowed to pay the cost of facility upgrades under Article 18, Paragraph 3 of the May 4th, 2015 Annual Town Meeting warrant, as more fully described in this article, which amounts are no longer needed to pay for the cost of the projects for which they originally borrowed.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 12? Seeing none, Article 12, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 12 passes. Article 13 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate $10,000 to pay cost of repairing and repaving the town launch ramp, and to meet this appropriation, such amount shall be transferred from the unexpended balance of funds originally borrowed to pay costs of facilities upgrades under Article 18, Paragraph 3 of the May 4th, 2015 Annual Town Meeting warrant, as more fully described in this article, which amounts are no longer needed to pay costs of the projects for which they were borrowed.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this.
Are there any questions regarding Article 13? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of Article 13 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 13 passes. Article 14 is in order.
728.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate $3,967.62 to pay part of the costs of replacing the carpet in the Board of Selectmen's office, and to meet this appropriation, such amount shall be transferred from the unexpended balance of funds borrowed to pay the costs of facilities upgrades under Article 18, Paragraph 3 of the May 4th, 2015 Annual Town Meeting warrant, and more fully described in this article, which amounts are no longer needed to pay the costs for the projects for which they were borrowed.
Second.
Finance Committee recommends.
Are there any questions regarding this article? All those in favor of Article 14 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 14 passes. Article 15 is
729.
in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town to vote to appropriate $8,500 to pay the cost of repairing and replacing garage door lifts and panels at the Highway Department garage. And to meet this appropriation, such amount shall be transferred from the unexpended balance of funds borrowed to pay costs of facilities upgrades under Article 18, Paragraph 3 of the May 4th, 2015 Annual Town Meeting warrant, and are more fully described in this article, which amounts are no longer needed to pay the costs of projects for which they were borrowed.
Second.
Finance Committee recommends.
Are there any questions regarding Article 15? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 15 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 15 passes.
7:30.
Article 16 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate $2,723.29 to pay part of the cost of purchasing a trailer for the Harbor Master's 21-foot Boston Whaler patrol boat, and to meet this appropriation, such amount shall be transferred from the unexpended balance of funds originally borrowed to pay costs of departmental equipment under Article 20, Paragraph 2 of the May 2nd, 2016 Annual Town Meeting warrant, and Article 23, Paragraph 3 of the May 1, 2017 Annual Town Meeting warrant, and are more fully described in this article, which amounts are no longer needed to pay costs of the projects for which they were borrowed.
Second.
The Finance Committee recommends.
Are there any questions regarding Article 16? All those in favor of Article 16 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 16 passes. Article 17 is in order.
7:31.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $156,500 from free cash to be expended by the following departments for the purpose of undertaking the following capital purchases and improvements. $87,500 for technology upgrades for the following: purchasing and installing computers, software programs, portable radios, and other technological upgrades for the following departments: Treasurer Collector, Selectmen, Health Department, Assessors, Accounting Department, Fire Department, Library, and Police Department. 2, $36,400 for the purchase of departmental equipment as follows: trailer for the Harbor Master boat, a line painter for the Highway Department, new furniture and window treatments for the Council on Aging, and for protective clothing for the Fire Department. Number 3, $32,600 for facility upgrades as follows: the purchase and installation of carpet for the Selectman's office, new hardware for the Town Hall handicap door, and for the painting of the Town Hall cupola and trim.
Second.
The
Fine.
Finance Committee recommends.
Excuse me. Are there any questions under Article 17? All those in favor of Article 17 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 17 passes. Article 18 is in order.
7:33.
John Manning from the Water Department. Article 18, I move the town vote to transfer the sum of $653,179 from the Water Department free cash to the Water Department stabilization fund.
The Finance Committee recommends.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yep, that was, nope, up here to the podium, please. Yes, you. Nobody's going to yell out from the audience. Step up, state your name and the street that you, and your address.
Matt Grenier, 476 Weathersfield Street. I was just wondering, what is a water stabilization fund, sir?
It is the...
John, go to the mic.
Oh, sorry. It is our, I'm trying to put this with the right words. It's where our free cash gets put. If you think of a corporation, which we are actually we operate as a corporation. We produce water, we sell water, we have proceeds, if you will. And this is our proceeds are put into this stabilization fund. From that, we charge against our capital projects. Last year, we were looking for $400,000 for a project. It didn't happen. I'm not sure if that's clear enough. Well, it is an accounting. I mean, it's. I don't know if the town accountant wants to say something better.
It's
Exactly, stabilization fund. So that if something happened, we don't have to wait till town meeting to come and say, we've got to repair a pump that failed, we have some capital sitting there.
So it's nothing to do with water quality or anything like that?
None, it's operating the, I hate to use the word, but it's operating the business, if you will.
Okay, John, can I have that article?
Oh, yeah,
It's not-
time for you.
Yes, it's not.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding Article 18? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 18 passes.
7:35.
Article 19 is in order.
I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $90,000 from Article 24 of the May 2nd, 2016 special town meeting water treatment plant dehumidification system to fund the cleaning of well number 3 and the wells in well field number 5.
The Finance Committee recommends.
Are there any questions regarding Article 19? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 19 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 19 passes. Article 20 is in order.
7:36.
I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $22,000 from Article 24 of the May 2nd, 2016 special town meeting water treatment plant dehumidification system to Article 16, HVAC system for 401 Central Street of the May 1st, 2017 special town meeting to be used for the purpose of purchasing and installing an HVAC system at the Water Department Administrative Offices at 401 Central Street.
Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 20? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 20 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 20 passes. All those in favor? I'm sorry. Article 21 is in order.
21.
Yes, sorry.
7:37.
I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $20,000 from Article 24 of the May 2nd, 2016 special town meeting water treatment plant dehumidification system for the purchase and installation of insulation for the water treatment plant process pipes.
Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 21? Yes, please come forward. I just want to remind everybody that there are plenty of seats down here. This is, you know, we might be here till 10 o'clock tonight, so it's very easy just to move down here and sit down here. But I don't want anybody on that side, if you're a registered voter, you've got to move over beyond the blue mats there from the gym. No, right up there.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, be careful.
What am I supposed to say? My name?
Your name and street.
Vicki McKenna from Pearlie Ave. Just wondering why all those monies that we just talked about can't come from the Water Department Stabilization Fund. Isn't that what it's for?
It is, no, okay, I'll explain.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, why don't you answer
Do I have to
that
stay
so
here?
everybody can hear your answer?
I know, I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Do I have to stay?
Only if you want to do a follow-up question. And the question was, why can't we fund some of the things on the article now with the stabilization fund? Because of municipal finance, things that we need to do now, we have to put in a warrant article and whatnot, and it gets voted. We asked for money last year, and we did not spend it. And instead of letting it go to waste, but instead of just putting in yet more articles, we repurposed last year's funds on the dehumidification. It was almost $500,000, $500,000. We did due diligence. We put a lot of extra work into that. We didn't need to spend that money, it turned out, after when it was all said and done. And so instead of asking for more money on something else, we're going to repurpose those funds that were already approved. And then with regards to this year's free cash, anything that occurs in the next fiscal year, that money will be there, and we will make appropriations against that money. Is that clear?
Any other questions regarding this article? Okay, all those in favor of Article 21 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? If you oppose, it's a no, but Article 21 passes.
740.
Thank you.
Article 22 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate from the PEG Access and Cable-Related Fund the sum of $2,500 for expenses to support the cable television PEG access services and programming, and for the renewal of the cable franchise licenses, including any associated expert and legal services.
Second.
Finance Committee,
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
are there any questions regarding Article 22? All those in favor of Article 22 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 22 passes. Article 23 is in order.
741.
Who has Article 23?
22, we did. I just said it.
I'm sorry, 22? We did 22, Article 23.
We're at 23.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate or reserve from the Community Preservation Fund fiscal year 2018 annual revenues the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for committee administrative expenses, debt service, community preservation projects, and other expenses, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation as follows. Reserve, creation and support of affordable housing. Original appropriation, $20,768.74. Additional allocation, $3,650.83. Total allocation, $24,419.57. Reserve, creation and support of historical preservation, additional allocation, $2,193.38. Administration, original appropriation, $25,538.59. Additional allocation, $1,825.42. Total allocation, $27,364.
Second.
Finance Committee,
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
are there any questions regarding Article 23? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 23 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 23 passes. Article 24 is in order.
743.
Arthur Page, Rowley Conservation Committee. I move for the town to vote pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44B, to transfer the appropriate sum of $9,700 from the Community Preservation Act undersigned fund to be used for the Conservation Commission to build a boardwalk on Pingree Farm Conservation Area and to provide a walk access to the state forest.
Second on that?
Thank you.
Might have to answer questions. Finance Committee,
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
are there any questions regarding this article?
Thank you, Kurt.
Seeing no questions, all those in favor of Article 24 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 24 passes. Article 25 is in order.
744.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to rescind Article 13 of the November 14th, 2016 special town meeting and to appropriate $100,000 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated funds account to enable the town of Rowley to acquire a perpetual conservation restriction on the land known as Mahaffey Farm for conservation, open space, and passive recreational purpose, comprised of 28.836 acres, more or less, located at 179 Newbury Road in Rowley, Massachusetts, and shown as restricted on a plan of land on file with the town clerk titled Conservation Restriction Plan in Rowley, Mass., prepared for the Essex County Greenbelt Association, Inc., by Donahue Survey, Inc., dated February 5th, 2018. That said, conservation restriction is to be conveyed to the town of Rowley, acting by and through its Conservation Commission under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8C, as it may be amended, that the conservation restriction is to be managed and controlled by the Rowley Conservation Commission and the Essex County Greenbelt Association, Inc.
Second.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding Article 25? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Article 25 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 25 passes. Article 26 is in order.
746.
Article 26, Madam Moderator, I move the town vote pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44B, to transfer and appropriate the sum of $18,377 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund to Article 21 of the November 13th, 2006 special town meeting. Town Hall Windows 2, to be used by the Board of Selectmen to complete the Town Hall window project.
Second.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 26? All those in favor of Article 26 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 26 passes. Article 27 is in order.
747.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44B, to transfer and appropriate the sum of $229,700 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund to be used by the Board of Selectmen for Phase 1 of the Town Hall Annex Elevator Construction Project.
Second.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 27? Come forward, please.
Hi, I'm Phil Town at 22 Bennett Hill Road. The elevator project, to me, seems to be money that's it's good money chasing bad money. That's phase one. It's probably $1 million project on a building that has very little square footage and really doesn't justify making a second floor operational. I think that we should find more suitable space for offices in other locations, whether it's the second floor at Town Hall where there is a working elevator, the Didex building if that becomes something online. But I think that this is money that is just going to end up being a big boondoggle for our town. We have to think ahead. It's a problem we have in this town. We have to really start to have foresight and we just can't make mistakes with preservation money. It should be spent on ball fields for kids. It should be spent on affordable housing, which has been neglected in this town. It should be spent on other things, but not a dilapidated building. If we can keep that going as an entity for the seniors on the first floor or move them into a better location, whether we make a deal maybe with the Baptist Church, who also needs money in preservation, or some other structure that is more fiscally sound. I think it's really time to put the brakes on projects like this. Thank you.
Gentlemen?
Madam Moderator, this project was originally started about 3 years ago. The intent was that if anybody that's been over to the annex knows that the Council on Aging, the various offices, Conservation Commission, Board of Health, Planning Board, and the building inspectors are all crammed into a first floor space over there with very little room. They need expanded space, and the idea at that time, at the original appropriation, was that in order to use the second floor of the annex, we needed to install an elevator. So a couple of years ago, the town meeting did appropriate money to have an architect look at the annex and give us a price proposal for what it would cost to put in an elevator. That was done. The elevator project came back at about $1.6 million. We originally figured it was going to be $750,000 thereabouts to put the elevator in, and that's about what that came into. But it turned out that in order to make that building handicap accessible, it was an old school building from way back when, and it is a historic building in town. It was going to cost that much money. So obviously we don't have that kind of money. In the meantime, in the past year, it's come to the selectmen's attention that Didax, which is on Route 1A heading towards Newbury, might become available for use by the town offices and possibly the light department for expanded space. So therefore, if that becomes available, the intent of the Board of Selectmen is, at this point, to move the office space from the annex up to the Didax building. That would negate the need for an elevator in the annex building. However, the Council on Aging would be staying in the annex building and would be in a position to take over the entire first floor of that building. It's a historic building. If we don't use it, it's going to fall to rack and ruin. We recently used CPA money to completely renovate the outside. The purpose of this money that we're looking to vote for tonight is to completely handicap access to the first floor, including bathrooms, a new handicap ramp to replace the one that's there that's in a poor condition, doorways, hallways, door handles, lighting, whatever, everything that the architect has told us it would take to make that building acceptable to the state ADA to make it totally handicap accessible. Like I say, if it turns out that we get Didax, then we can move those offices down to the Didax. If it turns out that we don't get the Didax building, then we're going to have to look at pursuing space up on the second floor. The proposal that we use the second floor of the regular town hall, that's an auditorium that was years ago refurbished, and we use that as a town hall auditorium. As you know, we have very limited space in town buildings for meeting purposes. So that's been refurbished and brought back to historical significance, and it's used for meeting space at this time. The town faces a real problem with office space. We've squeezed everything we can out of the annex, and we need to expand down there. If we use the second floor, that would be adequate space for the next 15 or 20 years anyway. We're really hopeful that we can get the Didax building, which would really relieve us, and we desperately want to expand the space needed by the Council on Aging, since they're crammed into basically one classroom with office space. That way they could have the whole first floor and expand the Council on Aging programs, and with the ability to make that whole first floor handicap accessible, it'd be much more user-friendly for the elderly and those others, the disabled people that use it. So That's the purpose of this funding, is to do that first phase, and that space will be used no matter what. And like I say again, we don't want to abandon that building, because if we abandon the use of that building, all we're going to do is it's going to go rack and ruin. As we all know, buildings that aren't used don't last. And it's a building that's over 100 years old. It's a historic structure in the town, and we'd like to keep it in use, and this is the best use for the money that we need to spend.
Is it regarding this article, Mr. Comley? Okay. I will shut you down if it isn't pertaining to it.
The Dytex building, what do you anticipate that's going to cost? Have you looked into that? Are they going to be in bankruptcy, or what's the story?
No, Didax is in the process of hopefully, well, they're hopeful of moving out. They need more space. So as a result of the planning board or a zoning board of appeals agreement that was passed years ago when they first came to town, they have to either tear that building down to use the backland, or they can donate it to the town. They've chosen to donate it to the town. So the building itself will cost us nothing. There will be some costs, obviously, to fit it to what we need for town office space, but the real estate would be given to the town free of cost.
So, free of cost? So you
Yes.
want to pay for the building, is that what you're saying?
We'll get the building and the land that sits on free, and the back land, I think they're looking to use it for housing, so.
Yeah.
But that's up to Didex to make that
Is it
decision.
Department of Public Safety? I mean, is it sprinkled and whatnot, or are you going to do a lot of work on it?
That building is air-conditioned, heated. As far as I know, it's sprinkled. It's up to the latest building codes that were in effect at the time that that building was built. Used to be the old Rowley printing.
Well, if it works out, it looks like it might be good.
Sure. My name's Claire Goodswin. I live on 44 Main Street. I think half of us are here tonight because we're looking to vote on an override for some of the school districts. And I think one of the reasons we're here in town voting on this is because there's a lot of projects that have been taken on for the town. We've had the school projects and the police projects, and we've had other in-town projects. And I think this elevator, it doesn't mean that because we don't do it tonight, doesn't mean that it can't be done ever. But it sounds like you're thinking there might be another option. And I think we should wait and see. I don't think tonight's the night we should be voting on it. There are things that we can think about. We can see there might be this other option of this space. I just don't think today is the day to do it. We have a lot going on in town. There's a lot going on in the budget. We should wait and see if this other space is an option. And I don't think we can afford to do it right now. It's not going to open up accessibility for a lot of people in town. And there is too much that we're voting on right now that is going to impact the bank balance of everybody in town. So I really just think that it's not the right option for everybody. We should wait, and if it's still an issue for you guys next town meeting, then we should bring it back on the ballot and vote on it then. It's the more judicious thing for us to do for everybody here.
Just keep in mind, this project is being funded with CPC funding that's available at this particular time. CPC funding is tightly regulated. It can be used to buy open space. It can be used for historic renovation, which this project qualifies for. It can be used for housing needs. So the money is available. It can't be used for the school. It can't be used for the public safety building. It has to fit into one of those categories. And that's the reason why at this point we are looking at just doing the first phase of this project, because this is a project we're going to need to do anyway. And as this board has stated many times, and we found out with the police and fire buildings, for example, when we turned that down many years ago, the cost was going to be $4 million. A couple of years later, the town turned it down when the cost was going to be $6 million. They finally passed it out of desperation a couple of years ago, and it's $12 million. Time is money. Building costs are going up at 5–6% per year. To merely hold this project off in the fact that we are probably going to need to spend the money in the future only means it's going to cost more money. And keep in mind that these funds cannot be used for any other projects that are on the warrant here. It's got to be used for open space, housing, and/or recreational land, so or historic preservation, of which this project qualifies.
George Gallant, Central Street. Comments being made about this building not serving everybody is wrong, because it's going to serve everybody eventually, because we're all getting older, and this has to be taken care of at this point. Don't want to lose that building. Everybody wants to tear down the old buildings and build up new buildings, and that costs a lot of money. Costs a lot of money to maintain the old buildings, too. Got a beautiful town here. Hate to see any buildings get torn down or go unused. Tonight's the night to do it. Just the same as it is for the schools, it's the same for the seniors. We all need help, too.
Jameson Lockhart, 815 Haverhill Street. It seems like it'd be negligent not to bring a town-owned building up to compliance. It's a public safety issue. I think it singles out a minority, which is some of the seniors. Anybody visiting that building should also have available to them accessibility. So I'd speak in favor of voting for this.
Thank you.
Leaf Noble, 169 Cross Street. I have a question. This, in your article here, it says it's for the, you want this $229,000 for the elevator. Do you want it to bring the first floor up to code, or do you want it for the elevator? Because you're talking, what you said, 1.6 or 1.7 million for the elevator. That's a lot more than 229 to bring everything on the first floor up to snuff, and then hopefully get the other building down here, Didex, which is just across the way from where I live.
Yes, well, when we originally had the architect give us an estimate, and they come up with I believe it was 1.6 million, thereabouts, we then went back to him and says, look, we don't have the money to do that. At that same time, we were being talked to by Didex with the possibility of getting that building. So we asked the architect to divide the project up into 3 parts. Obviously, the first part, if we don't do an elevator, we need to make the first floor handicap accessible. So we asked them to put the first floor handicap accessible project in, which includes the ramp, which needs to be replaced. The second part of the project, if we don't get Didex, will be to completely handicap access the second floor, because we can't put an elevator in until that building is totally handicapped accessible. And then the third part of the project, if we have to do it, will be to actually install the elevator. That's where we come up with the 1.6 million. Obviously, we're hoping that if we get Didex, we won't have to do all 3 phases, but we definitely need to do this phase to bring the first floor up to handicapped accessibility and complete use by the Council on Aging for that whole first floor. So it's in 3 parts. It's part of the whole project. We're hoping that we ultimately don't need to spend the money for parts 2 and 3 if we get Didex. But if we don't, this not only makes it for what we need to do now anyway to keep that building in operation and properly accessible, but if in fact we do need the elevator, this is step 1 in what would be a 3-step process to make the building totally accessible.
That's what I want to know. You know, if this is going to take care of the first floor and keep it accessible and open, then it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, this will make the first floor totally accessible. Like I say, we're going to be doing the bathroom, the kitchen facilities for the Council on Aging. If in fact we get Didex, it'll make the whole building, will anyway, the whole first floor accessible for town offices for anybody that needs to make use of that building. Ultimately, if we can move down to the Didex, it'll open up that whole space for accessibility by the Council on Aging, which space they badly need for any of those that go down there and use that space.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I'm going to call for the vote, and if it is a very close vote, then we will count. All those in favor of Article 27 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Article 27 passes.
804.
Article 28 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44B, to transfer and appropriate the sum of $54,000 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund to be used by the Board of Selectmen for the replacement of the handicap ramp at Town Hall.
Second.
Finance Committee,
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
are there any questions regarding Article 28? All those in favor of Article 28 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 28 passes. Article 29 is in order.
Arthur Page, Chairman of Conservation. I move the town pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15A, to vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to transfer the care, custody, and control of 2 parcels of municipal land located off of Meadows Lane, shown on the Rowley Assessors Map 14, Parcel 3, Lots 2 and 3, containing approximately 5.825 acres, deeded to the town on April 23rd, 1996, recorded under Book 13522, page 110, Board of Selectmen of Rowley Conservation Commission, to the conservation purposes as authorized by General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8, as it may from time to time be amended that this subject purposes and protections for Article 97 for the amendments of the Constitution from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the municipal parcels are shown as Parcel W and Parcel X on the plan entitled Meadows, the Meadows at Stony Brook, a subdivision of Rowley, Massachusetts, prepared for the North Shore Financial Services, Sheet 2 of 10 by Merrimack Engineering Services Incorporated, dated, revised September 28, 1992, recorded with the Essex Registry of Deeds at Plan Book 280, page 75.
It's been moved in second. Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee does not require a recommendation of this article.
I'm sorry. Okay, is there any questions regarding this article? It is a type of a zoning change. It is a 2/3 vote.
And
So
it doesn't cost us anything.
And it doesn't. There's the plus. Arthur, you get the good answer for the night. All those in favor of Article 29 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 29 passes unanimously. Article 30 is in order. 807.
Good evening, Chris Thornton, Planning Board. Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning, the Rowley Protective Zoning Bylaw by 1, deleting section 4.4.3, 2, redesignating current section 4.4.4 as the new section 4.4.3, 3, adding new paragraph C denoted by underlining text under the new section 4.4.3, which lists the use perimeters in the outlying district with the planning board's special permit as follows. C, large-scale solar photovoltaic installations subject to the issuance of a special permit by the planning board in accordance with section 8.9. 4, by modifying section 4.5.2C, section E of the bylaw, use permits in the coastal conservation district to remove the strike-through text and to add the underlined text as follows. E, large-scale solar photovoltaic installations subject to the site plan review approved of a special permit by the planning board in accordance with section 8.9. And 5, adding a new section 8.9, large-scale solar photovoltaic installations under section 8.0, special permit requirements of the bylaw, which reads as follows. 8.9, large-scale solar photovoltaic installations. 8.9, 1, the purpose of this bylaw is to establish some minimal standards to be implemented in the determination of, as determined necessary by the planning board. Okay. All right. Strike that. All right. Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the zoning protective bylaw, the bylaw by A, deleting section 4.43, number 2, redesignating current section 4.4.4 as the new section 4.4.3, 3, adding a new paragraph C denoted by the underlining text under the new section 4.4.3, which lists the uses permitted in the outlying district with the planning board special permit as follows. C, large-scale solar photovoltaic installations subject to the issuance of a special permit by the planning board in accordance with section 8.9. 4, modifying section 4.5.2E of the bylaw, uses permitted in the coastal conservation district, to remove the strike-through text and to add the underlined text as follows. Subparagraph E, large-scale solar photovoltaic installations subject to the, we're going to strike site plan review, and now with the approval of a special permit by the planning board in accordance with section 8.9. And paragraph 5, adding a new section 8.9, large-scale solar photovoltaic installations under section 8.0 of the special requirements of the bylaw, which reads as printed in page 9 and 10 of Article 30 of the April 30th special warrant meeting.
Has it been seconded?
Can I get a second? Second.
Okay. We do not need the Finance Committee recommendation on this. Are there any questions regarding this? If there is, please step over here to this side and address one at a time, stating your name and address.
John Manning, Hillside Street. First question is section 3, subsection C, large-scale solar photovoltaic installation. If I want to put 10 panels up, what determines large-scale solar? And who decides what that is?
And before he answers your question, I do just have to ask, this was advertised and a meeting was held regarding this.
That's correct.
Okay, that covers us legally.
We had a public hearing at the zoning board.
Right.
So large-scale solar photovoltaic installations include installations that go directly on the ground, not mounted on an existing building, and covering, areas in excess of, actually, I'm not sure we have any dimensional requirements on what's considered large scale, but it's not on a rooftop of an existing building.
But if I want to put 10 panels in my backyard, is that a large-scale installation? And do I need a special permit, and is there a cost for the permit?
I don't know that there's a...
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
I'd like to address that question.
Okay.
There's a very detailed definition in the zoning bylaw as to what a large-scale installation is. And I believe the key standard, it has to be more than 2 megawatts. So it's a very large facility. It's not something that would affect your average homeowner who wants to put panels on the roof.
Then that makes the second question.
Okay.
If it's 2 megawatts.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yep, just 1 second. Okay, next.
Hi, I'm Lyle Graham. I live on Weathersfield Street where this alleged plan is proposed. Everything that's green is not a wonderful event. Sometimes green can have a cost. Sometimes a piece of land isn't designated to be used, repurposed for any use, whatever it might be. We're talking thousands of panels being put out in an area, potentially, without the proper oversight by these good folks, the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission, because we've never had to deal with this before. All they're asking for is to have the oversight in place so that we know where the start is, and if it doesn't work out, not all businesses succeed, that there can be the appropriate removal of these panels without the town having to pay for it. And also that neighbors, and I'm not a neighbor to this, I'm on the street, aren't, their values of their homes and stuff aren't adversely affected by some plan. This particular plan started at 4 acres of panels, went to 7 acres of panels, to 11 acres of panels, back to 4 acres of panels. You're looking at thousands and thousands of panels. And I just don't know, I just don't think in a residential area, which Weathersfield Street is. There's a 40-lot housing development going in next to the Girl Scout camp. If that's not residential, what is? So I just think what they're trying to do here, and they don't have the answers to all the questions, is put the proper metrics in place so someone doesn't just build something quickly and we're stuck with a huge cleanup bill. Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding this?
Again, Matt Grenier from 476 Weathersfield Street. This is not a vote on the Weathersfield Street project. This is just basically a mechanism to protect all the outlying districts, to give the planning board additional authority via this special permitting process. It's not a yes or no in regards to the current activity or petition that's before the planning board currently. It's just simply to give us as residents additional protections, or the planning board additional authority to give the residents additional protections to prevent 2 million watt facilities that are ground-based. Thank you.
John Manning, Hillside Street again. I definitely support this, but it may need, or I may be missing it. Is there any protection against 300-foot wind tower going in? 'Cause I don't see anything in. Do you want to consider adding that to this?
That certainly wouldn't be a solar photovoltaic array, and that is subject to the existing zoning law in terms of what can be erected. So we're not really talking about the wind turbines.
Do we have restrictions on someone just blowing one of those up?
We
Kurt, do we have, can you, this is the town planner, would you come up and answer that question, please? Could you just state your name and what your title is, please?
Kirk Baker, town planner. Yeah, as of right now, there is not a. This is not including wind turbines. This is just for solar panels. As of right now, the solar panel, large-scale solar panels, are permitted in the outlying district and the coastal with only a site plan review. What we're proposing here is to make it a special permit review, which gives more latitude to the planning board to impose conditions upon approval. As far as wind turbines, that's like a totally different issue, but yeah, it has nothing to do with this. So that would be a totally separate issue to bring up at a later time.
Thank you. All right.
Anyone else?
Anybody else? Since this is a zoning change, it is a 2/3 vote. I will call for the vote, and we'll see how it goes. All those in favor of this article signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The article passes unanimously. 18. Okay. Article 31 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the Rowley Protective Zoning Bylaw, the bylaw by 1, adding a new definition to section 2.0 of the bylaw entitled Definitions, as printed in Article 31 under number 1 on page 10 and 11 of the April 30th, 2018 special town meeting warrant. 2, adding the following new section 4.6.3 subparagraph O. In O, marijuana retailers approved in accordance with the provisions of section 4.13, subsection 3, adding the following new section 4.7.3, sub I. I, the marijuana product manufacturers, marijuana cultivators, and independent marijuana testing laboratories approved in accordance with the provisions of section 4.13. And 4, adding a new provision as section 4.13 of the bylaw as printed in Article 31 under number 4 of page 11 in the April 30th, 2018 special town meeting warrant.
Do you have a second?
Second.
still in the process of putting the article out there. I haven't called for questions yet. It's okay. All right.
We have a second.
Yes, we do. Okay. Are there any questions regarding this article?
Hi there, my name is Jill Shuvalon. I'm at 6 Homestead Lane. Yes, my concern is the wording for this addition. In the current bylaws, it is indicating that this terminology that I would like to see if we could add a clarification for family restaurants to be added into this clarification. I have the 4.63 reference that is indicated in the bylaws that it states the following principles uses are permitted in the retail district provided in a special permit is approved by the planning board. K, reference, registered marijuana dispensaries, except that such dispensaries may not be located within 200 feet of daycare facility, elementary or secondary school, church, religious assembly. I would like to see that, ask for amendment to this to be also added ice cream vendor or a family restaurant. And I would like to see if we could add a request in the Raleigh protective zoning bylaws, the bylaws by adding the following new definition to section 2.0 of the bylaw intended definitions to clarify what that would be. Family restaurant being any restaurant is a family restaurant if a child or kid's meal is included in the complete menu. This is relevant because currently the locations where this can be accessed, there's no restrictions if there is an ice cream facility or a family restaurant. So there are 3 prospective retail manufacturing, retail businesses that we're citing to be an official business. And there's 3 of the locations. One was looking at being next to the ice cream facility, the Raleigh, the Downing ice cream. Thank you. Yeah, right, right across from the pizza factory.
We can't really debate specific properties and
Well,
districts. And I can address the question you raised here, okay?
Because, yeah, just the terminology, I just wanted to make sure that at this time we could.
Before he starts to answer that question, I have to make sure that you advertised in the paper for your public hearings on these, right?
We did, yes.
Okay, so they've had public hearings and they've advertised on it. It's to change this now, after that you go back to square one, but he will answer your questions.
We cannot have those 2 words added at this time.
No, not tonight.
We have to go through this whole process again, have another.
Start all over again.
Planning board, come back to another town meeting.
Okay.
So we could do that.
Yep, so
Sure.
that everybody can hear you.
Okay, but at the same time, the bylaw that we've proposed mirrors that's put forward by the Cannabis Commission by the state, which restricts locating these type of facilities within 200 feet of locations where children are known to congregate. So we're talking about playgrounds, schools, daycare centers, but that does not, we can't go more restrictive than that. We can't redline districts like, well, eating establishments that where the general public ordinarily attends, not just children.
Well, if you have an ice cream shop, most people who are going to be having ice cream is children.
No.
A lot of them. And I just feel like that's pretty close to.
Go ahead. But bottom line is this cannot be changed
Right.
tonight.
We can't change specific wording, and what we do is we take the state law that's put together by the Attorney General at this point, and we've mirrored that in how we've established the zoning, the ordinance that we're looking to adopt, okay?
Okay. Try later.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
I think it's important for people to understand what the result will be if we vote against this article tonight. It may look complicated, but the most important thing this article does is says it allows retail marijuana facilities in our retail district, which is a fairly small district in town, basically around the intersection of Route 1 and 133. If this is rejected tonight, it means we have no provision on the book, the zoning bylaw, addressing marijuana facilities, which technically means that you could have a facility opening up anywhere in town, including even our historic districts, our central town area. So while the changes can always be made later, I would submit there's a real need to vote on this article tonight. Also, this article is going to have financial benefits on the town. Under the next article, we'll be voting on whether to have a tax on the sale of retail marijuana, which would be 3%. Also, any facility that moves to town will be paying a local impact fee to the town of 3%. So that would be a 6% assessment on top of the gross sales of any recreational facility that's in town. So I would submit that's a significant benefit to the town.
And I think everybody needs to know there is another process that once town meeting passes it, it has to go before the state. And I assume it's the Attorney General that will okay the zoning bylaw change?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we don't have the final say in this, folks. All right, are there any other questions? This is another 2/3 vote. All those in favor of Article 30? Well, I'm sorry. Yep. I need your address also.
Wilson Pond Lane.
Okay.
So I have a question. How many stores are you opening this year? Is there like a limit on it? Are you going to open a store, see how it goes? Because I think the profusion of marijuana stores in a small town like Rowley brings a lot of unwanted guests into our town, impaired drivers, issues that we didn't foresee before, people from New Hampshire coming over the border. Does it impact our housing prices? Has a lot of variables. So I think, have we decided how many stores? Are we going to limit the amount of stores? Maybe one, see how it goes. I agree, tax dollars, absolutely great for the town, but that comes at a cost, right? You know, casinos opening up, great for the town, brings in unwanted people. So, has that been decided on yet? Do we have like a limit on how many stores we're going to open? What's the projection right now?
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
Can I just say, in answer to her question, is we only can limit the area in which these facilities can operate. Right now, we have 2 applications in front of the Board of Selectmen, and it'll be the front of the Planning Board. If someone else wants to come in, we can't deny them. All we can do is have them live up to the regulations. When I talk to people about this, I often say that these marijuana places, whether you like them or not, the state has authorized them. They've passed down regulations for them. A few years back, the town of Rowley, at the election, voted in favor of allowing these establishments. And so all these kinds of bylaws puts us to conform with the state regulations that we are required to do. And like the planning board says, if we don't put some of these kinds of regulations in, they can go anywhere in town.
But other towns restricted, like Ipswich, right?
And well, we've already voted for, some towns hadn't voted yet. We voted for them. They've been previously voted by the town to authorize them, so we have to live up to those locations. Now, my other thing is, it's eventually, marijuana stores, cannabis stores are going to be much like liquor stores. Every town, I guarantee you, almost every town in the Commonwealth will have 2, 3, 4, some places more. It's, whether we like it or not, it's here. We need to regulate it, which all this does is regulate as best we can these facilities. And that's the purpose. We can't stop anybody else from coming in. We can't throw anybody out. We have to conform with the state regulations which we operate under.
Yeah, the problem is when you're impaired under marijuana, marijuana, they don't have tests. Cops can't stop you and give you a test like they can with alcohol. That's the problem. I understand it was passed and all that, but that's a big issue as well. And then what are we going to do with the tax dollars?
Well,
Was it
that'll be
600,000?
coming, that's the next article,
Okay.
so.
We're going to talk about that next, or, okay. Well, that's all.
And the town, I just asked, the town voted for this at the November election in 2016.
Leaf Noble again, 169 Cross Street. I'm just wondering if this is going to be regulated, like, you can only have so many liquor licenses and, like bars, there's only so many bars allowed in the town, so many liquor stores, there's only so many liquor stores allowed in the town, there's only so many bars allowed in the town. Is there going to be only licensing for so many cannabis stores, whatever you want to call them? They're going to be, or every Joe Blow that walks into town can open a store.
Well, in answer to that, it's regulated, but I don't think there's a limit as to how many we can have, but they got to be economically viable. To this point, all I can say is we've had 2 applications. There haven't been any more than that. They'll both be on Route 1, one north of 133, one south of 133. And I would say that, with 2 of them in town, and then you have the one in Georgetown right by 95, that's probably going to be our saturation. And as far as talking about, the people driving under the influence and things like that, I would agree with you, but there's nothing we can do about that. The state law allows this, so we have to conform to the regulations.
Well, it should also be added that even if this article passes, a marijuana facility would not be able to open until they first obtained a special permit from the planning board, which would involve a public hearing at which residents could state their views. And so that's an additional factor. The town will have a great deal of control over them under this article. And it's an industry that's going to be intensely regulated by the state. I don't think there's any question of that. There's a long list of regulations that a facility has to meet in order to open up. Finally, again, they would be restricted to the retail district, which is a very significant form of regulation, I would submit.
And if not, if we don't pass this, what happens?
Theoretically, they could open up anywhere in town.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, this is another zoning change. It is a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of Article 31 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. It's a unanimous vote. Article 32 is in order.
832.
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
I move the town vote to accept the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 64N, subsection 3, providing for the imposition of a local sales tax upon the sale or transfer of marijuana or marijuana products by a marijuana retailer operating within the town to anyone other than a marijuana establishment, and further, that the amount of such tax shall be 3% of the total sales price received by the marijuana retailer as a consideration for the sale of marijuana or marijuana products.
Second.
Finance Committee on Article 32.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 32? Yes, Mr. Conley.
My name is Stephen Conley Sr., and I live on 45 Mansion Drive. And I'm looking at this, if we could get enough, it could become a cash cow for the town. If we get enough people on it, buying the marijuana, to solve all the budget problems. We could build all kinds of buildings, as long as we're in a right frame of mind, Our kids, they've got enough temptations. It's incredible. We're probably going to have some copper poles next.
Mario Leslie, I'm at 28 LaBelle Way in Rowley. I sort of object to the tax because it's going to put a burden on whoever's doing business in town and put them at a competitive disadvantage to anybody else working in another town. You're just making the taxes here higher so people buy someplace else. It just doesn't work that way.
Madam Moderator?
Address that.
Madam Moderator, under the regulations set forth by the state and the cannabis, we're allowed to charge up to 3%.
Everyone.
Which is in every community. Every community, I guarantee you, pretty much is going to charge the 3%. I mean, we can't totally guarantee it, but any town that doesn't get the 3% and they're going to sell marijuana, right, they're losing money. So, you know, it's not going to, it's money for the town treasury. The maximum we can charge is 3%, and that's what we've set the limit at, and it will be competitive in this area with everybody else around, I'm sure. I know the place in Georgetown, they charge 3%, the ones out by 95.
Okay, but I believe you will put them at some disadvantage.
Any other questions regarding this article? All right. This is just a simple unanimous vote. All those in favor of Article 32 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 32 passes. Article 33 is in order.
835.
Planning Board. Oh, yes, sorry.
Madam Moderator, the Planning Board moves to see if the town will vote to amend the Rowley the Rowley Protective Zoning Bylaw, the bylaw, by modifying the definition of registered marijuana dispensary, RMD, under Section 2.0 of the bylaw, entitled Definitions, by removing the strike-through text and by adding in bold and underlining the text as follows: registered marijuana dispensary, RMD, an entity, and we're striking a not-for-profit, so that it reads, an entity registered by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health under 105 CMR 725-100 that requires cultivation, that acquires, cultivates, possesses, processes, including development of related products such as the edible.
You need to read that. That's the only thing.
Okay. Once again, I move that the town vote to amend the Rowley Protective Zoning Bylaw by modifying the definition of the registered marijuana dispensary, RMD, under Section 2.0 of the bylaw, entitled Definitions, by removing the strike-through text and adding the bolded underline to read as printed under Article 33 on page 12 of the April 30th, 2018 special town meeting warrant. Can I get a second?
Second.
I ask that they have advertised and public hearings were held. Are there any questions regarding this article? This is another 2/3 vote because it's a zoning change. All those in favor of Article 33 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 33 passes.
837.
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
I move the town vote to adjourn the April 30th, 2018 special town meeting.
Second.
It's moved and second that we adjourn the special town meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
838.
And we will go now to the regular town meeting.
Right there, Joan.
Okay, that's fine. So
Just got to put this away.
Gotta get up
Okay.
and move. Should have brought a
Are we set?
cushion. Can I borrow your cushion? No.
Town of Rowley, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, warrant for the annual town meeting, April 30th, 2018.
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
I move to allow non-resident town employees in school, local, and state officials to speak if called upon during the April 30th,
Doing another whole
2018
motion.
annual town meeting.
Second.
These individuals will now raise their hand.
Now second. Second.
It's been moved and second to allow department heads or town employees to speak in regarding of these articles that are coming up at the annual town meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next.
Still looking for a motion to suspend.
Yeah.
Okay.
She already started. so
She's
go ahead,
already
Joe.
started. I move the town vote to suspend the town meeting, in the town meeting, the application of Section 19 and Section 20.
No.
No, I'm
Suspend the
sorry.
reading
Move
of
to
the-
suspend the reading is what
Just
we're looking for.
suspend the reading, Joe.
Yes, I'm looking for, I'm sorry. Madam Moderator, I move to suspend further reading of the April 30th, 2018 annual town meeting warrant because present town meeting members have a copy of this warrant.
Second?
Okay. Just checking, does everybody here have a copy of the warrant? All right. All those in favor of suspending the reading signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 8:40. Let everybody know that Article 1, the act on reports of committees and boards, is right here, available at all times. And I do want to remind everybody that this is to set the budget for FY19. We need to have a balanced budget before this meeting can adjourn. The Finance Committee, the Board of Selectmen, the Town Accountant, and the Treasurer have worked to what is available that they feel by the collection of taxes, so that under Article 4, it is a balanced budget. Any changes to this will mean that we will not be able to adjourn until, at the end of this meeting, until we have a balanced budget for FY19. With that being said, we will start with Article 2.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to suspend in the town meeting the application of Section 19 and Section 20 of the town meeting bylaw pertaining to the reconsideration of all money articles. Such suspension intended for the specific purpose to balance the total levy of funds raised and appropriated within the limitations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, Proposition 2.5, so-called, and to give blanket warning hereby that any money article may, at the end of the meeting, and after all articles have been acted upon, be moved for reconsideration in order to balance the total level of funds raised and appropriated within the limitations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved in second. All those in favor of Article 2 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 3 is in order.
8:42.
Madam Moderator, Article 3, motion. I move the town vote to fix the annual compensation for elected officials of the town as required by Massachusetts General Laws 41, Section 108 as follows. Elected officer, Finance Committee recommends. Moderator, $100. Board of Selectmen, each member, $2,231. Board of Assessors, each member, $2,456. Town Treasurer Collector of Taxes, $79,021. Town Treasurer Collector of Taxes, $79,021. Town Clerk, $55,515. Planning Board, each member, 0. Surveyor of Highways, $76,733. Municipal Water Board, each member, 0. Trustee of Free Public Library, 0. Rowley Housing Authority, 0. Board of Shellfish, $500. Commissioners, each member. Municipal Light Board, each member, 0. Board of Cemetery Commissioners, chairperson, $500.
Second.
Finance Committee? Finance Committee recommends this article.
All those, are there any questions? All those in favor of Article 3 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 3 passes. Article 4 is in order. Larry?
44.
Article 4, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate $17,455,301 and transfer and appropriate the sum of $865,000 from free cash. And transfer and appropriate the sum of $250,000 from overlay reserve for a total of $18,570,301 to defray the expenses of the town for the forthcoming fiscal year, including bonds, notes, and interest. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second?
Larry, would you like to give your explanation?
Yes, to keep this simple, we're going to look only at Rowley. Don't worry about Newbury, don't worry about Sudbury. Just look at what we as Rowley people can do, all right? In summary, if you are for the Triton full school budget, remember yes, yes, yes. If you are for the limited Triton school budget, remember yes, yes, no. Now, a bit of a background. The state permits a 2.5% tax levy increase and anticipated new growth for budget increases. In December of 2017, and for Rowley, the Board of Selectmen sent a letter to Triton with a proposed Rowley assessment increase of $200,000 based upon the 2.5% increase of $341,209 and new growth of $56,560. Total $397,769. Half of that is $198,884, or roughly $200,000. We have typically in the past given Triton a increase plus half of what the new growth and 2.5% is. That's where that figure comes from. Triton's final budget of March 14th this year had a Rowley assessment of $732,640, or 3.5 times the amount Rowley said we could afford. Now, think of Articles 4 and 5 as parts A and B of the budget. Article 4 has the Finance Committee, Board of Selectmen, Treasurer, Auditor recommended budget, which is the fiscal 19 budget with the $200,000 increase for Triton. We spent months working on it. We came up with, we can live with that $200,000 increase. So approving Article 4 approves the Rowley omnibus budget. The budget is balanced. However, Triton has a $532,640 shortfall. Article 5 approves and sets aside the spending shortfall on Triton's budget should the override pass as ballot question 1. Rowley's budget is still balanced at this point. The $200,000 in Article 4 and the $532,000 in Article 5 were determined by what the town could afford, allocating the remaining $198,000 for the rest of the town. It also took into account the desire of residents to have the opportunity to vote on the override. The shortfall has two parts: approving the funding used in Article 5 and raising taxes to fund the override in the ballot question. For Triton's budget to be fully funded, Article 4 must pass the town meeting, Article 5 must pass a town meeting, and the override ballot question must pass. Okay? So in summary, for Article 4, Article 5, and ballot question 1, if you're for the Triton full $732,000, okay, you vote yes, yes, yes. If you are for the Triton limited budget of the $200,000 assessment, you vote yes, yes, no. It's very easy for this evening, whether you're ardently for Triton, ardently against Triton. The first two items, Article 4 and 5, you vote yes. The budget's balanced, everybody is happy. You go to the ballot on the election May 8th and vote whether you want the override or not. The effects of ballot question 1. If you vote yes, you're voting for a permanent tax increase. If you vote no, Triton has to reconsider their budget. Now, Triton options and the budget effects won't be discussed at this meeting. We're not going to concern ourselves with the what ifs, the override doesn't pass. Those comments, you'll have to go to the Triton District Communications Committee meetings or their budget meetings for what they're going to do. We have no say-so in that. So that basically is a summary of what everyone in the Finance Committee, Board of Selectmen, Administration, Accounting feels is best for us. So now we'll go.
Now what we're going to do is Article 4 is the general omnibus budget. And if you notice in bold letters, like the first one is general government, and it goes all the way down to line 18. If you want to hold on
63.
I'm sorry, yes. Larry is going to be reading it, but if you want to, we'll give you the title. It'll be through a number of lines. If you want to hold on any line, I need to hear hold very clearly, and I will ask you what line it is. I will mark it, and when we finish all the way through till we get to the total amount that Larry mentioned of the $18,570,000, before we vote on that, we will go back, and whoever put a hold on it will get up and specify why they put a hold on it, whether it's a question or what you want to do. But the bottom line is before we leave here tonight, we have to have a balanced budget for FY19. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the Finance Committee, and we're going to start with the general omnibus budget.
Okay, the first thing is the general government line items 1 through 63. Are there any questions or holds on lines?
1 through 63. Any questions? Any holds? Okay.
Okay.
Next.
Public safety, lines 64 to 96.
64 through 96. Any holds? Okay. Next.
Schools, lines 97 to 101.
Any holds? 97 through 101. Next.
Public works, lines 102 to 113.
Any holds? 102 to 113. Go ahead.
Health and Human Services, lines 114 to 125.
Any holds on 114 through 125?
Recreation and Historic, lines 126 through 136.
126 through 136? Go ahead.
Debt, lines 137 through 166.
The town's debt is through 137 through 166. Any holds? Okay.
Insurance and Benefits, lines 167 through 170.
Any holds on 167 through 170? I assume there are no questions regarding this. It has been moved and seconded and recommended by the Finance Committee. So I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of Article 4 for the FY19 budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 4 passes. Article 5 is in order.
855.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $532,640 for the purpose of paying its full assessed share of the Triton Regional School District budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, required to fully fund such assessment and thereby approve the district's budget for the year, provided that such additional appropriation be contingent on the approval of a levy limit override question under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C.
Second.
Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee is recommending this article solely for the purpose of not scheduling another town meeting if the ballot question passes.
Are there any questions regarding Article 5? Okay, seeing none. All right, come forward, please. This is pertaining to the amount, right?
It's pertaining to Article 5.
5, okay.
Right?
Yep.
Can I only speak about the amount?
Well, we like, the Finance Committee says we have no control over what-ifs.
Right.
Okay.
So expressing support, is that?
Oh, no, go right ahead, do whatever you want.
Great, thank
As long
you.
as it's not getting into specifics of cuts or
Nope.
whatever. All right.
Nope, nothing specific. Bob told me if I say anything specific, he's going to put me to work picking up all the chairs, so. Ben Day, Pleasant Street, Rowley. I'd like to first thank all the town officials that really put their back to the wheel developing this budget. They keep the town functional day in and day out, and you know, people tend to show who they are under pressure, and I think it's to your credit that in this time of pressure, you know, the respect and commitment to making it work is shown through. Thanks also to all the neighbors who are here. I've come to call many of you my friends, and we have a shared stake in this town. That's why I'm up here right now. And would like to preserve all the basics that keep it a place we're proud to call home. Now, I have less than 5 generations in town. That makes me a newcomer by Rowley standards. But I'm by no means a starry-eyed youngster. I've been around a bit. I've owned property and paid taxes in 3 different cities and towns in Massachusetts, as well as out of state, so I can testify to the fact that other communities are confronted by this same reality as we are here. The cost of health care, primarily, and special education are skyrocketing without any legislative boundaries. And while these cost trends are increasing sharply, the Commonwealth's per pupil reimbursement continues its steady decline. Decline? Really? What areas of our economies, what essential services that you use have declined in cost steadily over the past 10 years? I can't think of any. And neither can the legislature or government. They know better than to try. But they've been pulling it off for far too long, and it's time for it to stop. And that's why we're organizing in support of Senate Bill 217, filed by President Chandler, Senate President Chandler, to fund the basics beginning in the 2019 budget. We're ready to fight on the legislative front for changes to the funding formula to relieve the strain on towns like ours. State legislators should consider themselves on notice that we're coming for their support or their seats. They can decide which. This is not a statement of force, but clarity of purpose and resolve. It's time for the state to step up and shoulder their share of the work it takes to maintain an educated electorate over time, period. That said, we need this override now, today, to keep living up to the promises we've made to our kids, our neighbors, our kids, our neighbors, and our schools, and every other institution that makes this town a living community and maintains a social contract that was struck by Americans, not just of this generation, but of prior, to give the next generation the education they need to be competitive and self-sustaining. This is a promise that's not to be made and kept just when it's easy. Rather, keeping that promise when it is difficult without postponement, deferral, or equivocation is what maintains the foundation of this community and what fortifies the minds and lives of those Americans who will someday stand in our place. Listen, like everyone here in my life, I've made some good decisions and some bad ones, but all of them have come down to one simple question, and that's, is it worth it? Am I running tight?
Well,
This is it. All right.
This and the next page?
No?
Okay.
When I was a senior in college, I was on track to be a teacher. I only made it a couple of weeks into my student teaching semester. I showed up at the middle school where my father, a career educator of 33 years, was the first to hear about my decision to change course. I told him I didn't feel the kind of passion it would take to do it well, year after year. I told him I didn't want to commit to getting a master's degree just to keep my job, and they do. I told him I didn't think I was willing to make the financial sacrifice the profession asks of its teachers. In the end, it just wasn't worth it to me. I was a young man then, but the decision I made was right for me. And it had the added benefit of creating in me a great respect for my father and the others who make the decision to be educators. Their job's not easy. They don't do it for the money. Frankly, teachers as a profession are dramatically undercompensated, especially considering how essential is their job. Now, years after that career choice, I've found that no knowledge or experience has done more to simplify my decision-making than becoming a father. Being a father, responsible for my children, providing what they need, navigating the risks to their well-being, has helped me get very good at making decisions on their behalf. When it comes to an important decision with direct impact on my children, I can most easily answer that most essential question, is it worth it? I stood here a little while back and supported a new police station. Same for the fire station. The need for both was clear. It was long overdue and essential to keep those basic services viable for not just the Rowley of today, but the community as it grows for the future. Both were clearly worth it. I stood here a little while back to support the Pine Grove renovation project. Talk about long overdue. The building was neither safe nor efficient, not for today's class load, certainly not for tomorrow's. And if we can commit to the project then, the state was willing to split the entire bill with us, and it was glaringly worth it. Committing to these capital improvement projects equated to my commitment to pay an 18% higher tax rate than I had been paying. That's a 20 to 25-year commitment. The faces in this room will look much different by the time that's all paid off. And by then we'll have other needs to support. And that's just the nature of living in a world where things need care and feeding to endure over time. The students need care and feeding now. The educators need care and feeding now. We can't defer that commitment because they're not a capital improvement project. I can't tell my first grader that her education will be compromised now, but maybe in a future grade it may improve. By then it'll be too late. It equates to another 3% increase. Thank you.
Okay. I was going to say, when you were a student teacher, weren't you told that you lose them within the first 5 minutes?
I was told to speak my mind.
Jameson Lockhart, 815 Haverhill Street. We spoke about respecting the room for tonight. Someone just yelled out from the crowd, just asked that we call comments like that out of order and treat everyone with respect.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other questions regarding this? Come forward. Go ahead. She's going to take, you can come and stand over here.
Hi, Michelle Marshall, Dodge Road. Just a quick confirmation. So Article number 5 is not whether you're for the override or not. We have to vote yes to keep the budget balanced. And the real override question is the referendum question at the end of the warrant. Is that correct?
The real override decision is the vote, okay? And it's the vote by all 3 towns.
Right.
If we vote for the override and the other 2 towns vote against the override fails.
Right. But I'm just asking, Article 5 allows that $500,000 plus, and if we say yes to that, aren't we saying yes to that money?
No. No. What, it's,
Yeah, we're saying
We'll do it if it passes.
yes.
At later.
do it if
Okay.
it passes at the election next Tuesday on the 8th.
Okay.
You need both.
You
Yes.
need both.
It's appropriate.
You need both for the town to say yes to this amount and the override on Tuesday. Address and name, please.
I'm Ellie Davis. I live on Central Street. My question is more, or my comment is more of democracy. Whether you are for or against the override, it's really important that the whole town gets to have a say in what happens. I think I've really appreciated hearing people's commitment to the town, and there are many people in our town who aren't here tonight. So I urge people to allow the override vote to happen and to vote yes on this amendment.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Vin Pesatoro, 161 Boxford Road. I just have a question. If we vote for the override, does that go on every year, the override?
Yes. Every
year. Okay, thank you.
The Finance Committee Chairman says it is a permanent debt exclusion.
No.
General override. Permanent override.
Your
Sorry.
taxes go up permanently.
Hi, this is Claire Goodsman from 44 Main Street. So just to be clear, we are not voting on the actual override tonight. We're just voting to put it on the ballot on May 7th. That's right.
To appropriate.
Okay, but we don't say yes or no tonight. The people here in this room don't say yes, we do the override or not. It just to put it on the actual ballot.
It's on the ballot.
Okay.
It's on the ballot.
But to appropriate the funds.
That's the amount.
That's the amount that goes to the funds that's on the ballot. And that's all we're agreeing to tonight is that amount gets on the ballot.
We're appropriating it.
Okay.
It allows us to spend it if the override
If it passes on the ballot. But we don't all get to say yes or no in this room tonight.
On the override, no. We
Okay.
don't say.
Because it got a bit confusing.
It is confusing, and regional schools are very confusing because of the logistics of just not the one individual town. Do you need to say anything else on it, Larry?
No.
Okay. Either one of you?
Don't
Okay.
wanna-
Anybody else regarding this article? Article
Madam-
5?
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
If I could, I would like to comment on the gentleman's suggestion. We have the support of our state senator, Bruce Tarr, and we have the support of our representative in Brad Hill, and they are working for us. I urge you, like members of the school committee, they have taken the time to go into Boston to meet with the legislators and to request that they do work for funding. They have promised to fund transportation at 100%. They never have since they passed the bill. We are underfunded because we are underfunded from the state. We have to fight with our state reps, not the ones that are from our town, but from other towns, and get them to support the schools statewide.
Bernie? And you can stand right over here behind him and then wait for your turn.
Bernie Cullen, 283 Wethersfield Street. I would like to start by congratulating the ground effort to persuade the state to live up to its commitments. And that certainly is one of the factors that's led to the situation that we have in terms of the budget. But there are other factors that also need consideration. And so on the one hand, I'm for giving everybody the chance to vote on May 8th, whether to accept the override or not. I think that's important. That's a sign of democracy, and I'm all for that. However, I will be voting no on that override. I'm voting no on the override because the Triton Regional School District needs to live within the constraints of another democratically proposed and accepted proposition, and that's Proposition 2.5. Just as Rowley itself does in terms of managing its own internal resources and administration. I've closely followed the Triton budget for the last 3 years. I see no evidence that the Triton budget process fully recognizes the needs of the town to stay within Proposition 2.5. In 7 of the last 10 Triton budgets, Rowley's Triton assessment has increased over 3.5%. So it's always been, 7 out of 10, it's been above 2.5%. 9 of those 10 years, it's been above 2.5%. So we're continuously putting the rest of the town in an awkward position because the school is going above the 2.5%. They know it's 2.5% before we start this whole budget process, but it doesn't seem to act as a governor on their budget. This year, the increase on our assessment is 7.6%. That has real impact on the rest of the town. All this has occurred while Rowley's enrollment at Triton has declined from 1,068. No, our assessments are going up. The enrollment is going down from 1,068 in fiscal year 2010, to 787 in fiscal year 18. I believe a no vote on the override on May 8th, not tonight, the no vote is the first and necessary step for ensuring that the budget process is changed so that going forward it is compatible with Proposition 2.5. If we don't do it, then we'll be back here again next year with the same issues. Also, I'll be voting no on the override because there is a fundamental issue of fairness. In Rowley, we manage the budget to under 2.5%. So that means all the employees, everybody who's working here, gets much fewer and lower increases than occurs in the school district. That's not fair. And it certainly does not appear to be the case in the 2017-2020 contracts with the school employees, right across the board. A no vote will increase the likelihood that the school committee will more actively ensure that their fiscal year 20 budget and upcoming contracts for the next 3 years after that with Triton employees will fully reflect the limitations we have to live under with Proposition 2.5. I will be voting no on the override because I believe the Triton budget can be materially reduced without impacting what happens in the classroom. People will disagree, but this is a $39 million operating expense budget. Reducing the request from 2.3 million, which is what the request now is, down to about 0.8 million, which is what the 3 towns can afford under Proposition 2.5, that represents a 3% decrease in that $39 million budget. That's what they have to work with. And I think that that's a doable do. In my opinion, these savings can be achieved without laying off any teachers. Is that the hook?
Just about.
Okay. Laying off any teachers and therefore without increasing class sizes. Let me repeat. There is no reason why these savings require the layoff of any classroom teachers. A no next week will not reduce the quality of education in any of the Triton classrooms. There will be changes. They will have an impact, but it won't impact what goes on in those classrooms. So I'm voting yes on Article 5, no next week on the override, and I'll be posting more data and analysis on our great website, Rowley Talks. Thank you.
I heard it. So a yes now doesn't necessarily mean, if we say yes, then it.
What
I'm
Larry is,
confused.
what the Finance Committee is saying, I think what all the town officials are saying is, we voted yes for Article 4. That gives the Triton budget what we paid last year, what we're paying this year plus the $200,000. We're asking you to vote yes on Article 5, because what Article 5 does, it gives, if it passes at the town meeting, it gives Triton the extra money it's requested, and it also appropriates it, so we don't have to have another town meeting. If in fact we vote no at the town meeting, and if one of, no, I mean at no at the election, and if one other town of the three votes no, then Triton will be required to go back and rework its budget, and it'll be brought up again in the next month or so for reconsideration. So it's kind of complicated, because it isn't just what Rowley does, it's what the three towns. All three towns agreed to do exactly as we're doing. The override size varies in each town, but we all agreed to give Triton what within the 2.5% and put the extra money on the override for the election. So we're asking you to vote yes, as Larry said, vote yes, which we did on Article 4. Vote yes on Article 5. It doesn't do anything other than allows the election, which is we'll probably have, 800, 900, 1,000 people, whatever, to vote whether they want to support the Triton budget as submitted or they want to reject it. It's a much more democratic area than what we got here, a relatively small number of people. So we are looking for you to support Article 5. So at the ballot, whether it goes up or down, that will be the pulse of the community as to whether they want to support the current Triton budget or have it reworked.
Okay, thanks.
It's complicated. I mean, it is, and it's hard to understand, but.
Are there any other questions regarding this? Okay, Superintendent? You know that.
I do not want to get the hook from Joan. So I first want to thank Bernie. Bernie and I have had an ongoing dialogue for several years now, sometimes on Rowley Talks on Facebook, sometimes in person. But some of the remarks that he's made, I just want to briefly give some context to. From 2002 to 2017, and actually the 2018 school population stayed remarkably static. Our overall student population did go down 17.5%. We lost 572 students across the entire district. However, during that same time, special education enrollment is up by 79 students. That's a pure head count. So where special education was 10.4% of the total population, it's now 15.5%. During that same period, we reduced 51.5 classroom teachers. I'm answering the question because Bernie has raised this several times. How can less students cost more money? During that same time, we reduced 51 classroom teachers. That's a 24.5% reduction in classroom teachers. During that same time, we had an increase of 50 educators that are working one-on-one and intervening with students, from instructional assistants, social workers, specialists, interventionists, and other small group work. So the reality is it's an almost even swap in total employees. The assessment to the towns, however, is not the full story. The total increase in expenditures during that same period, we increased by 51% in expenditures. 30% of the total increase in expenditures over those 15 years was related to special education and healthcare. 21% went to all other spending. Special education and healthcare was 25% of the budget in 2002. It's 35% of the budget now. However, the state Chapter 70 formula, as many of you know, has not followed the pattern. For FY18, Newbury's assessment decreased by $59,000. The town of Rowley had to pick up a portion of the Newbury assessment purely based on the formula. So while the Newbury assessment decreased by $59,000, Rowley was up $423,000. That swing had absolutely nothing to do with our spending in the district. And then you have the state shifting the burden to the towns. So today, we're receiving $260,000, over $250,000 less than we did dollar for dollar in 2002 in state aid. Where in 2002, state aid covered 34% of the Triton budget, it now covers 22% of the Triton budget. So now you as taxpayers, Newbury and Salisbury, have to pick up that spending because the state is not following through to their promise. So that is not an issue of Triton simply not living within their means. And then to the point where Bernie stated that there were ways to reduce the Triton budget without touching classroom teachers. That is absolutely a fact. Of course, with 425 employees and over 275 classroom and specialist educators, we can make cuts without going to classroom teachers. However, I would say that arts and instrumental lessons at all levels affect the quality of education for our students. I would say custodians to provide clean buildings and spaces for students to feel safe and learn effectively affect the quality of education for our students. I would say interventionists and specialists who are able to target at-risk populations in small group settings affect the quality of education for our students. Instructional assistants who provide needed supports and assistance for students with disabilities affect the education of our students. Curriculum renewal cycles and funding that provide current and up-to-date resources affects the quality and education of our students. And support and administrative staff who complete reporting, planning, ordering, provisioning for the needs of all schools greatly affect the quality of education for our students. So I'll stop there. I don't want to get the hook. You understand my point. So Bernie is absolutely right about what we can do, but he is dreadfully wrong that there would be no impact on our kids. Thank you.
Okay, it's almost 9:30, and we still have a few more articles to go, so let's keep this moving.
So my name is Paul Lees. I live on Wilson Pond Lane. I'm also a member of the Triton Regional School Committee, and I just want to talk, I don't have the figures that Brian did, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the research that I've done. I was on the committee that negotiated the teacher's contract, and if we have a $39 million budget, about $25,000 or $28,000 of that is teacher's salary. Then we've got another $5,000 or $6,000 of health insurance. Those costs can't change, okay? And the reason why I say that is I went to Manchester, Essex teacher contract, Hamilton Wenham, Masconomet, Pentucket. I looked at all of those teachers' contracts. I did my own little bar graphs, and I tried to set them side by side to see if we were being hosed at Triton, because I'm a taxpayer too. I don't like my taxes going up. But what I found in looking at these is the teachers' contracts are all the same in all these locales, okay? So some district may have a lower teacher cost. It's because they hire younger teachers, okay, that are inexperienced. Our goal, I've been on the Triton Committee about 8 years, and I've learned that part of what Brian Forget and his predecessor, they're geared to attracting master's levels teachers, okay, so that your students get a good education. It's critically important, and I do take offense, Ms. Moderator and Mr. White, just to the politicizing of the issue. The question tonight is Article 5, and Article 5 is a yes vote because we need to support it and put it to the voters, okay? All of this about mixing different towns, that's not the issue. The issue solely tonight is $532,000 to put on a ballot to be voted on by the taxpayers. And I urge you all in May, because it's been opened up, to vote in favor of that. And I have a question I just want to pose. I'm done in 30 seconds. But earlier tonight in the special meeting, Article 18, we allowed a transfer of $653,000, which is less than this override is. And it went from the Water Department free cash to the Water Department Stabilization Fund, okay? And I tell you, those are two funds I'm not familiar with. But I want to go to this next article, which is number 7. And lo and behold, we've got a Water Department Enterprise Fund. That's a third one. And these monies are being transferred around in the town. So please, keep in mind that all these 3 different water department funds are dealing with the same amount of money that we're looking for in an override. Please vote yes.
John Manning, Haverhill Street and with the water, Hillside Street and with the water department. I can appreciate seeing money there in a budget municipal. It's an enterprise fund. The funds generated from the operation of the water department cannot be used to fund. It can't be moved outside of our purview to pay for that shortfall. The state just does not allow it. So, I mean, it's there, but it's not. It's for the operation of the water department and our capital expenses.
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
I would just hopefully close this discussion with the fact that we want you to vote yes for Article 5. If you want to support the schools, you vote yes on the override, which this article authorizes. If you want to vote against the school budget, vote no at the override vote next week. The point is, we need your yes vote tonight to put that article, to fund that article, if in fact it passes. So we're looking for a yes vote, whether you're for the schools or against the schools. We're hoping that you'll vote for this article tonight so that it'll be on the ballot and the town as a whole gets to vote yes or no on how they feel about the schools. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no more questions, all those in favor of Article 5 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Article 5 passes. Thank you. Article 6 is in order.
926.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to leave.
I hope it wasn't anything that I said.
If you are leaving, could you please wait and talk in the hall as you go, because we want to get through the rest of this so we can go home tonight? Thank you. Go ahead, Bernie. Go ahead, Bernie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Article 6 for the Water Department budget. The motion is, I'm Bernard Cullen, I'm on the Water Board. I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $2,231,430.64 from the Water Department Enterprise Fund for the fiscal year 2019 for the following: wages and salaries, and more details are in the warrant. $626,731.86. Expenses, $618,000. Other, $157,684.63. And debt, $829,014.15, for the total operating and debt of $2,231,430.64.
Been moved in second. Finance Committee on Article 6?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding Article 6?
Yep. Just two.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Seeing no questions on Article 6, all those in favor of Article 6 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 6 passes. Article 7 is in order.
928.
Motion. I move the town vote to transfer from the Water Department Enterprise Fund to the general fund of the town the sum of $149,322.11 for the line items listed in Article 7 on page 9 of the April 30th, 2018 annual town meeting warrant, and that any other monies spent by the general government on behalf of the Water Department be reimbursed to the general fund from the Water Department's Enterprise Fund, as is usual, in fiscal year 2019.
Finance Committee on Article 7, please.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 7? Yes.
So Paul Lees from Wilson Pond. And I understood after I spoke before that the water department's money was the water department's money, but now, unless I'm misreading this, the water department is giving money back to the town?
The town spends money. The town spends money on various things. For example, any financial or accounting support that the town gives, there's a charge attached to it. They incur the charge first, and then we reimburse them for that. The same for certain insurance items that they pay, and then we reimburse them.
And so the total budget here is $2.8 million?
2.8, where's 2.8?
Where my finger is?
No, it's 2.38.
I'm sorry, 2.3?
Yeah.
Million?
2.4 million.
And our earlier special warrant vote affected $653,000, or 25% roughly, of free cash. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so the school committee, on running on about a $39 million budget, our free cash is about less than 0.5%. We have about $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 in $300,000 in our account. So 25% of your free cash funds your budget, and we have less than, well, 3% for ours.
So do you want me to explain, or?
But you're
No,
putting
my
the
number's
school...
wrong is what I'm asking.
All right. Paul, you're putting the schools up against the water department. I understand.
Just trying to clarify the issues, that's all.
Okay.
Just trying to clarify the issues.
There are two things. One is that, as John Manning alluded to earlier, in public financing, you have to appropriate the money before you can spend it. Sometimes, as in for positions that don't get filled, that money does not get expended. That money is still recognized as in the budget, so it has to be dealt with. And that's essentially where that free cash comes from. It's money that wasn't spent but had to be appropriated because we have requirements of staffing, and that the state requires us, for example, to have two secondary operators for the distribution and the treatment plant. We've been looking for 18 months to fill those positions. We have to fund those positions in the budget, and that's where that surplus comes from. The purpose of that surplus going forward will be to fund capital projects like the replacement of the main systems, which is aging, and in addition, once we have a line of sight to be able to reduce the rates and keep them constant for 3 years, we can use that money to do that, to reduce the rates. So the money belongs to the people who pay the water rates. The intent is to use it, but to use it in a fiscally sound and responsible manner. And that's what we're doing. That's how the budget is put together, and it is in accord, as the Finance Committee recognizes, with the requirements that are placed on us by the state.
So, and just to add to that as well, two things. One, this money is generated from the sale of water to the consumers. It's not every taxpayer in town. So we have 1,800 residences, and there's several hundred that have their own wells. They're not affected by that. And then secondly, some years we try to tighten the budget as much as possible, but some years we'll sell more water than we know, and we will have surplus. We'll adjust the budget the next year. Again, there is a lag because of the municipal process, if you will. We could have a drought, and we had a drought a couple of years ago, people did a phenomenal job, didn't use as much water, and it was tough with the budget. We had to use our surplus to balance the budget the next year.
Any other questions regarding Article 7? All those in favor of Article 7 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 7 passes. Article 8 is in order.
933.
Mark Emery, Water Board. Article 8, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $60,000 from Article 24 of the May 2016 Special Town Meeting Water Treatment Plant Dehumidification System to an article to fund the purchase of a truck.
It's been second.
Bernie.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions under Article 8? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 8 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 8 passes. Article 9 is in order.
934.
Article 9, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $30,000 from Article 24 of the May 2016 Special Town Meeting Water Treatment Plant Dehumidification System to this article to fund the replacement valves at Prospect Hill Storage Tank.
Thank you. Finance Committee on Article 9.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 9? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 9 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 9 passes. Article 10 is in order.
935.
Article 10, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $9,000 from Article 24 of the May 2nd, 2016 Special Town Meeting Water Treatment Plant Dehumidification System to Article 9 of May 2nd, 2016 Annual Town Meeting Paul Membrane Filters.
Finance Committee on Article 10.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 10? All those in favor of Article 10 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 10 passes. Article 11 is in order.
935.
Article 11, I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $8,900 from Article 24 of the May 2nd, 2016 Special Town Meeting Water Treatment Plant Dehumidification System to this article to fund the purchase of a snowplow.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 11? All those in favor of Article 11 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 11 passes. Article 12 is in order.
936.
Article 12 through 15, standard annual articles. Motion 1, I move the town to vote to authorize the following account and their uses is printed in Articles 12 through 15 on page 12 in April 30th, 2018 Annual Town Meeting warrant. Article 12, Municipal Light Board, Municipal Lighting Plant Annual Appropriation. Article 13, Harbor Master Municipal Waters Maintenance and Improvement Fund. Article 14, Cemetery Commissioners Perpetual Care Trust Interest Account. Article 15, Board of Assessors Recertification Fund.
Second.
Finance Committee on Articles 12 through 15.
The Finance Committee recommends these articles.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding these articles? All those in favor of Article 12 through 15 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Articles 12 through 15 passes. Article 16 is in order.
937.
I move the town vote pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E, 1/2, to authorize the following expenditure caps for fiscal year 2019. Number 1, Council on Aging, $5,000. Number 2, Board of Health, $20,000. Number 3, Parks and Recreation Committee and Board of Selectmen Facilities, $30,000. Number 4, Board of Selectmen Home Composting Bins, $2,000. 5, Highway Department, $12,000. 6, Shellfish Department, $6,000. 7, Zoning Board of Appeals and Board of Appeals, $4,000. 8, Board of Cemetery Commissioners, $20,000. 9, Library, $2,500. 10, Agricultural Commission, $5,000. 11, Harbor Master, $30,000. 12, Board of Selectmen and Parks and Recreation Community Events, $20,000. 13, Records Access, $5,000.
Second.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
All right. Are there any questions on Article 16? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 16 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 16 passes. Article 17 is in order.
939.
Madam Moderator, I move the town town vote to appropriate from the PEG Public Education Government Access and Cable-related Fund the sum of $71,500 for wages and $40,000 for expenses to support the cable television PEG access services and programming, and to prepare for the renewal of the cable franchise licenses, including any associated expert and legal services.
Second.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 17? Nope, okay, just checking. Okay. All those in favor of Article 17 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 17 passes. Article 18 is in order.
940.
I move the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $63,439 from the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust Septic Betterment Loan Program to pay the debt service on the town's loan from the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust. Second?
Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions on Article 18? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 18 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 18 passes. Article 19 is in order.
940.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate or reserve from the Community Preservation Fund fiscal year 2019 annual revenues the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for the committee administrative expenses, debt service, community preservation projects, and other expenses, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation. The summary of the recommendations by category: appropriations, debt service for Bradstreet Farm land acquisition, $199,631.26. Debt service for Dodge Reservation property, $125,650. Administration, 5%, $25,940.36. Reserve, creation and support of affordable housing, $21,936.03.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 19? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 19 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 19 passes. Article 20 is in order.
942.
Karen Summit, Treasurer Collector, Central Street. Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to accept General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 57A, which makes property tax bills of $100 or less payable in a single installment beginning in fiscal year 2019.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding this article? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 20 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 20 passes. Article 21 is in order.
942.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to accept the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 64G, Section 3A, to establish a room occupancy excise tax on hotel and motel rooms of 6%.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions on Article 21? Okay, all those in favor of Article 21 signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Article 21 passes. Article 22 is in order.
943.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to accept the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 64L, Section 2, to establish a local option meals excise tax.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions on Article 22? All those in favor of Article 22 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 22 passes.
944.
Article 23 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $125,000 to the Other Post-Employment Benefits Trust Fund, retiree health insurance.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
No, 23 now. Jeez, I'm losing it. All those in favor, are there any questions on Article 23? All those in favor of Article 23 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 23 passes. We're on Article 24.
945.
Madam Moderator, I move the town to vote and raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to the stabilization fund.
Second.
Finance.
The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Are there any questions regarding Article 24? All those in favor of Article 24 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 24 passes.
945.
Okay, before we jump to Article 25, Narissa or Ginger, what do they do with the chairs? Because usually we have the racks here to put them up. Does anybody know? Because Chris Nealon left, so I don't. Okay, because then if, with just one article, if they have these, if we could all fold up the chairs to help them, because this has become their all-purpose room for lunches and anything else besides being the gymnasium while the rest of the building is under construction.
Bruce Tow's here.
Oh, Senator Todd, join us. Come on. No. This is great. Look, he made it. I told you he'd be a little late. Senator Todd, come on up.
We're done.
It's not over yet. Boy, you're lucky the guy saw you because I didn't.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and through you to the members of town meeting. The last thing I want to do is prolong what I know has already been a lengthy town meeting, but I want to let you know that I was attending town meeting in Groveland, and I looked at my watch and realized that your town meeting might expire before I could get here, so I left early, just so I could bring you greetings, Madam Moderator. And just want to say thank you for allowing me to say hello. Thank you to everyone who has gathered tonight to make obviously what are important and sometimes very difficult decisions on behalf of the town. I think it's an important part of our democratic process. Know that your legislative delegation continues to work very hard on Beacon Hill to try to face a number of issues, including trying to leverage more resources both for local aid and for the funding of our educational programs. The governor's budget reflects some of that, as does the House budget, where Representative Hill fought very hard to get some increases. And in the last week of May, the Senate will be taking up the state budget for the coming fiscal year, and we will be fighting to do the same thing on a number of fronts. And we will do that in part because of the mandate that we have been given from this part of our districts respectively, and certainly we'll remember the very passionate voices from Rowley about trying to increase state aid and follow through. Joan, was it something I said? I'd be happy to do that. You know, I will say, Madam Moderator, as a member of the minority party, the only chance I have to be a chairman is helping you move chairs tonight, and I'd be happy to engage in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I did find out they're going to wheel down the racks that we usually use in the other room, and hopefully if everybody would just help picking up the chairs, it would be a big help to the janitors. So with that being said, let's go to Article 25 so we can finish this meeting tonight. Article 25 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move to meet in St. Mary's Church rear, Route 1A in said Rowley on Tuesday, May 8th, 2018 at 12 noon to act on the items listed under Article 25 on pages 14 and 15 of the annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for Article 25. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 25 passes. Now we need a motion to close out this meeting.
My turn.
Yes.
Yay. I move the town vote to adjourn the April 30th, 2018 annual town meeting.
Now my turn. Second.
All those in favor of adjourning this meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're done. Thank you very much.